When my officer husband Kian Shun slapped me to the ground, 3 months pregnant, for the sake of his savior, Dina Song, after 8 years of blindly adoring Kian Shun, I suddenly woke up. I calmly went to the hospital to terminate the pregnancy, severing the last tie between Kian Shun and me. A year later, Kian Shun finally remembered me, his so-called wife who had been carrying his child. He came carrying bags of gifts, wanting to see me and his child. I laughed. You divorced me and married another woman. Why should I keep your child to disgust myself? I've been reborn. I was reborn on the day my military officer husband, Kian Shun, gave all the money I had saved for childbirth to his savior, Dina Song, to buy appliances, watching as a large color TV, refrigerator, and washing machine were moved into Dina Song's house next door. I realized the money I had saved for childbirth was gone. It felt like a bolt from the blue. I went to confront Kian Shun for an explanation, only to see Dina Song coyly nestled in his arms. Witnessing such intimacy between my husband and another woman, I trembled with rage. I stepped forward and demanded to know where my money had gone. Dina Song, still clinging to Kian Shun, answered me in a sickly sweet voice. Kian gave all the money to me to buy appliances. Staring at Dina Song's smug face, my fury reached its peak. How can you be so shameless? Instead of earning your own money, all you think about is spending someone else's. Dina Song cried her heart out in grievance, while Kian Shun's eyes turned red with anger, forcing me to apologize. How could I possibly apologize? Ever since Kian Shun transferred Dina Song to the military district to be his confidential secretary, everything had turned upside down. Kian Shun would frequently go out of his way to help Dina Song, often buying rice and flour for her, whether Dina Song had a headache or a fever. Kian Shun was always at her beck and call. Even in the dead of night during a thunderstorm, Dina Song could knock on his door wrapped in a blanket and take Kian Shun away to keep her company. As for me, his wife of 3 years, Kian Shun treats me like air. Anger and resentment filled my heart, especially when I saw Dina Song shamelessly throw herself into Kian Shun's arms right in front of me, his wife. As a provocation, I grew even more furious. You shameless couple, full of deceit and illicit affairs. I'm going to report you to the military leadership. As my words fell, Kian Shun suddenly lashed out and struck me hard across the face. I was knocked to the ground by that slap, my head hitting the cabinet in Dina Song's house with a heavy thud. Blood gushed out, and as I lay on the ground, an unbelievable experience flooded my mind like a tide. It turned out that Kian Shun didn't just give all the money I had saved for childbirth to Dina Song to buy household appliances. He also gave the apartment allocated by my workplace to Dina Song. I cried and made a scene, but it was all in vain. Dina Song is vicious and despicable, constantly scheming and plotting against me. Meanwhile, Kian Shun blindly trusts Dina Song, after being manipulated by her once again. Kian Shun used the excuse of his elderly and frail parents needing care to send me back to his hometown thousands of miles away to look after them. In the countryside, I endured hardships, bore children, and cared for his parents, longing day and night for our reunion. Kian Shun's official position kept rising, yet he never once considered bringing me back. It wasn't until his parents passed away one after another that I went to find Kian Shun, only to realize I had long since had no connection with him whatsoever. We had already divorced and become strangers from the moment he sent me back to the countryside. After sending me away, he couldn't wait to marry Dina Song, holding a grand wedding ceremony for her. He and Dina Song have been inseparable, deeply in love forever. Though Dina Song couldn't bear children, the child I bore and raised with hardship became theirs. Seeing my aged and haggard self show up at their door, Kian Shun avoided me, while Dina Song brought my biological son to meet me, dressed in jewels and finery. Dina Song tossed a stack of money at me as if I were trash. Vivi Moo, all these years Kian has just been using you as a free nanny. I am his rightful and legal wife, so get the hell out of here. My own flesh and blood, my son, also said, Mom, look at what you've become. You're no longer worthy of Dad. Take the money and leave. I'll send you money every month for your retirement, but on one condition: never show your face in front of our family again. My whole life turned out to be a joke, serving as a stepping stone for others. The man I deeply loved treated me as a free maid, and even my own son despised me. Overwhelmed by rage and grief, I spat blood and died from sheer anger. Memories of my past life and the present events flashed alternately in my mind. Lying on the ground, I stared fixedly at Qian Shun and Dina Song. Perhaps the hatred and fury in my eyes were too intense, for Qian Shun, who had been busy comforting the weeping Dina Song, finally spared a glance at me lying bleeding on the ground. Seeing my swollen face and bleeding forehead, Qian Shun froze in shock. He finally remembered that I was a pregnant woman, and Qian Shun let go of the sobbing Dina Song to help me up. Hatred filled my heart, and I used all my strength to push away his helping hand. Get lost. Qian Shun didn't leave but instead helped me up from the ground. You're bleeding, let me take you to the hospital to get it treated. Didn't you hear me tell you to get lost? If it weren't for your nonsense, why would I have resorted to violence? I was just too angry earlier. This whole thing is your fault. Let's go to the hospital first to treat the wound, and we'll talk about apologies later. Ignoring my struggles, he forcibly picked me up in his arms, preparing to take me to the hospital. At that moment, Dina Song suddenly collapsed weakly to the ground. Seeing Dina Song faint, Qian Shun immediately released me and rushed toward her. Dina, what's wrong with you? Wake up. Don't you know Dina has a heart condition and can't be agitated? It's all your fault, he shouted at me hysterically, then called for the guards. Xiao Li, drive her to the hospital immediately. Qian Shun, his face full of anxiety, rushed out carrying Dina Song in his arms. His guard Xiao Li, hearing the commotion, quickly brought the car over. Qian Shun carried Dina Song into the car and immediately ordered the guard to drive. Completely forgetting about me with my bleeding forehead, the car roared away, and I wiped another trickle of blood from my forehead before staggering back to the house next door. Facing the mirror, I bandaged my bleeding forehead and quietly began to recall my past life. In my past life, after Qian Shun hit me, he similarly ignored my bleeding state, only concerned about Dina Song who pretended to faint. Furious and resentful, I rushed to the hospital to make a scene, which resulted in Dina Song suffering a heart attack and being hospitalized for half a month. As for me, I was placed under house arrest by Qian Shun. Because I was pregnant, Qian Shun didn't confine me, but he assigned guards to watch me around the clock. The guard named Xiao Li was from the same hometown as Dina Song and was completely on her side. He feigned compliance while acting contrary, deceiving superiors and subordinates alike, treating me with great harshness, giving me only one meal a day, 2 hard buns and cold water. By the time Dina Song was discharged from the hospital, I was so starved that my appearance had drastically changed, reduced to skin and bones. Xiao Li claimed I was refusing to eat or drink, and Qian Shun took it as the truth. When he saw me, there was not a word of comfort, only scolding, accusing me of being unrepentant and telling me to hurry up and die if that's what I wanted. He also warned me, saying that a shrew like me who makes unreasonable trouble isn't worthy of being his wife, and if I keep making a scene, he'll divorce me. I was utterly devoted to Qian Shun, and hearing him mention divorce scared me out of my wits on the spot. To prevent Qian Shun from divorcing me, I no longer dared to cause any more trouble, but my forbearance changed nothing. Dina Song kept provoking me every other day, flaunting how much Qian Shun cared for and adored her. I was so angry at Dina Song's words that I inevitably got into another argument with her. Dina Song set me up once again. She deliberately rolled down the stairs herself and falsely accused me of pushing her. Dina Song was hospitalized again, this time claiming that she injured her uterus after I pushed her and could never bear children again. I explained to Qian Shun that I didn't push Dina Song and that she was falsely accusing me of staging the incident, but Qian Shun didn't believe me. He told me I was facing jail time for intentionally causing harm. I was terrified, and later Qian Shun came to me again, saying he had pulled some strings to keep me out of jail. Qian Shun asked me to return to the countryside to take care of his parents, saying he would bring me back after I gave birth and things settled down. I had no choice but to agree to Qian Shun's suggestion. On the day I left, he made me sign an apology agreement. I believe Qian Shun signed the so-called apology agreement and was then sent to the countryside by him. This departure lasted for over 30 years. At first, I planned to return to Qian Shun's side after giving birth, but his mother suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and was bedridden, requiring care. To fulfill Qian Shun's filial duties, I had no choice but to stay in the countryside. Over these 30 years, Qian Shun only returned a few times to visit his parents. He also took our son to live with him. claiming it was to ease my burden. I didn't learn the truth until I was on my deathbed. The so-called apology agreement I signed back then was actually a divorce agreement. Less than 3 months after sending me to the countryside, Kian Shun married Dina Song. He even held a grand wedding for Dina Song, and from then on, I was treated as their free old servant. Wasting over 30 years of my life, thinking about this makes my teeth grind with hatred. If I could start over, whoever wants to be this old servant can take the role. Anyway, this old lady isn't doing it anymore. I will abort the bastard with a wolf's heart and a dog's lungs in my belly. Since Kian Shun wants a divorce, I'll grant him his wish. In this life, I will leave this pair of despicable lovers and live my own life. Since I'm leaving, I must prepare for a rainy day. I need to secure some benefits for myself first. The money I saved to have a child has already been given by Kian Shun to Dina Song to buy household appliances. There's hardly any money left at home now, but next month is Kian Shun's birthday, and I've prepared a watch as his birthday gift. The watch can be sold first. Besides, my salary for this month hasn't been paid yet, and I won't be handing it over. Also, when Kian Shun and I got married, I joyfully prepared a pair of gold rings. Kian Shun found them childish and has never worn them, which now conveniently allows me to sell the rings. Adding it all up, I can get back around 1,000 yuan. This money should be enough for my abortion and recovery. The top priority now is the apartment allocated by my workplace. In my previous life, the apartment allocated by my workplace was directly given to Dina Song by Kian Shun, but there won't be such good fortune this time. I need to sell the apartment first to get a sum of money. Clutching the watch and gold ring, I rushed to the workplace despite my head injury, completely disregarding my appearance. Seeing me in this state, the leader was surprised and asked what happened. I didn't say much, just told my boss, I'm short on money now, and I plan to transfer the house allocated to me. Could you help me keep an eye out for potential buyers? The price is negotiable. I'm known as a nice guy at work and get along well with both my boss and colleagues. The boss agreed to help me inquire, so I went to sell the watch and gold ring again. The watch was brand new and unused. I happened to meet a newlywed couple and sold it for 50 yuan less than what I had paid. I pawned the ring, a total of 18 grams, for less than 1,000 yuan. With the money from the watch and the ring, I went to the hospital and directly sought out the gynecologist to explain my purpose. Kian Shun and I have been married for 5 years. But we've never been able to conceive. Because of this worry, I often visited the doctor. The doctor knew me very well and, seeing that I wanted to terminate the pregnancy, earnestly tried to persuade me. I've made up my mind. But in the end, the doctor still refused to perform the surgery for me. She told me to get Kian Shun's signature for the surgery. After all, Kian Shun is now the leader. Without Kian Shun's signature, if I rashly abort Kian Shun's child, she would be implicated and face disciplinary action. The child wasn't aborted, and I'm in a very bad mood. On the way back, I was thinking about how to get Kian Shun to sign. In my past life, Dina Song falsely accused me of pushing her down and injuring her uterus, rendering her infertile. Because of this, Kian Shun divorced me and married Dina Song. In this life, I won't wait for Dina Song to scheme against me first. I'll strike preemptively to make this accusation a reality and force Kian Shun to divorce me. Once the divorce is finalized, that heartless bastard will naturally and justifiably turn into nothing more than a pool of blood. Kian Shun didn't return until 9 p.m. By then, I had already eaten, bathed, and gone to bed. Feeling half asleep, I sensed something brushing back and forth across my face, stirring an inexplicable disgust and hatred. Without thinking, I swung my hand and slapped it. A sharp asterisk smack asterisk echoed, my palm burning hot, and I jolted fully awake. A vivid red handprint bloomed on Kian Shun's face. Undoubtedly my doing. At that moment, Kian Shun glared at me, his face dark with anger. Vivi Mu, have you lost your mind? Having known Kian Shun for 10 years, I had always been gentle, considerate, and full of flattery toward him. It's easy to imagine how Kian Shun must have felt after suddenly getting slapped. I rubbed my numb hand and said, I just had a dream where I was being chased and couldn't tell if it was reality or not, so I lashed out. Naturally, Kian Shun didn't believe my explanation, and I didn't expect him to. He huffed angrily, I just wanted to see how badly you were hurt, and you actually pretended to be crazy and hit me. Vivi Mu, You really are something. Looking at the finger marks on his face, I felt a twinge of regret. I truly wasn't pretending to be crazy. If I had known it was him touching my face, I should have slapped him a few more times. Over there, Kian-shin grew even more annoyed when he saw I wasn't speaking. You actually went to sleep without waiting for me. You didn't even make dinner. I thought you weren't coming back. As for dinner, didn't you eat with Dina-song? Don't you two often have dinner together? A sheepish expression flashed across Kian-shin's face. I shouldn't have hit you today. I was so angry in the heat of the moment that I lost my temper, to be honest. You went too far today too. You knew perfectly well that I was just helping Dina-song out of gratitude, and you knew she has a heart condition. How could you say those things about her? So he was still intent on holding me accountable. I stared coldly at Kian-shin's handsome face, before I came to my senses. Before I knew the unspeakable things he would do to me, I could never get enough of looking at that handsome face of his. Now that I knew what was coming, I found his face utterly repulsive no matter how I looked at it. Kian-shin, seeing that I remained silent, softened his tone. Dina was wronged because of you. You should go apologize to her tomorrow, and let's consider this matter settled. And if I refuse to apologize, don't you know that if you're in the wrong, you should admit it and apologize? I'd like to know what exactly I did wrong. You took the money I saved without even asking. Don't I have the right to get it back? Can you consider the money as a loan from me? If you borrow, you must repay. You should return all the money you borrowed from me before as well. After being repeatedly confronted by me, Kian-shin's expression became extremely awkward. His salary was already gone, having to give it to his parents and Dina-song. Otherwise he wouldn't have needed to use my money. Kian-shin took the initiative to grab my hand, trying to coax me with affectionate gestures. I pushed him away sharply. Kian-shin, let's make this clear. Helping Dina-song is your business. I won't interfere anymore, but you must return every cent of my money without touching a single penny. Before, I never spoke up when he used my money, which made Kian-shin take it for granted. Now, seeing how serious I was, he rubbed his nose and said, Vivi, we're husband and wife, one body. There's no one body anymore. From now on, if you want to repay her kindness, I won't stop you. I promise I won't cause trouble for Dina-song or comment on your relationship. Just one thing. Return my money to me. Kian-shin stared at me intently. What do you mean? I mean exactly what I said. From now on, we'll each live our own lives. If you want to take care of Dina-song, do it yourself. Don't drag me into it. I have neither the responsibility nor the obligation to help you take care of Dina-song. In the past, whenever I got angry and made a scene, as long as Kian-shin said a few soothing words to coax me, I would immediately reconcile with him as if nothing had happened. This sudden change, so different from before, made Kian-shin's expression darken. Vivi Mu, do you realize what you're saying? As a military spouse, helping those in need is something you should be doing. Then why haven't I seen you care about other people in need? There are plenty around here who are worse off than Dina-song and need help more. Why aren't you helping them? Shut down like this. Kian-shin was left with no dignity. His face darkened as he let out a cold laugh. What nonsense are you spouting now? I've told you countless times, there's nothing between me and Dina-song. She saved me back then, and I'm just repaying her. I'd heard this so many times it made my ears callous. Cutting him off directly, I said, enough, I'm not interested in whatever's between you and Dina-song, and I won't care about it anymore. I only have one demand. Give me back my money. How can the money given away be returned? Stop being unreasonable. Let me tell you, I know exactly what's bothering you. It's just jealousy. Isn't it? How many times have I explained? Why won't you listen? Kian-shin had grown extremely impatient. His tone much more severe. Vivi Mu, you'd better put away your petty thoughts. I will continue to help Dina-song, if you refuse to listen and keep stirring up trouble at home. Don't blame me for being ruthless. I will divorce you. In my past life, Kian-shin threatened me with divorce, and I was terrified, afraid he would abandon me, afraid I'd never earn his love. In this lifetime, I know Kian-shin's love would never be given to me, only to Dina-song. So what is there left to hesitate about? Without a moment's hesitation after his words fell, I nodded. Fine, let's get divorced. My agreement to divorce was beyond Kian-shin's imagination. He looked at me as if he'd seen a ghost. Vivi Mu, are you sure you want to divorce me? I'm sure. I nodded firmly. We'll get divorced tomorrow. But before that, you have to return all my money to me. Again, it's all about money. Are you obsessed with money? Is money all you see? Qian-shen asked me through gritted teeth. Yes, all I see is money. Qian-shen couldn't believe I was serious about divorcing him. You're utterly unreasonable. Listen here, Vivi Moo. Don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're pregnant. I'm not doing whatever I want. The baby isn't an obstacle. As long as you sign, I'll go to the hospital tomorrow to terminate the pregnancy. Seeing my resolute expression, Qian-shen took a few steps back. Vivi Moo, are you out of your mind? How could you even say something like not wanting the child? My firm stance on divorce left Qian-shen stunned, and he angrily slammed the door as he left. He never came back after that, and I didn't bother about him. Lying down to rest again, the next morning, I was startled awake by knocking at the door. Qian-shen's guard, Xiao Li, stood at the door with a sullen face, holding breakfast. The chief asked me to bring you breakfast. Seeing Xiao Li, I didn't look pleased either and snapped, "Put it over there." Xiao Li placed the breakfast on the table, his gaze lingering on my face. I glared at him coldly. "What are you staring at? You've delivered the stuff. Now get lost." I've always been kind to others and never put on airs, which is why Qian-shen's guards have always seen me as an easy target, especially this Xiao Li. He's from Dina Song's hometown and is completely on her side, always subtly targeting me. Seeing me suddenly so assertive, Xiao Li was startled. Then quickly turned furious with shame. "What kind of attitude is that? Last night you were jealous and drove the chief to sleep in the office, and today, even though the chief has humbled himself like this, you still refuse to back down. Let me tell you, Vivi Moo, you'd better tone it down. Don't push the chief too far, otherwise you'll regret it." "Are you threatening me? Who do you think you are? Just a dog by Dina Song's side, yet you act so important. I'm warning you to show me some respect. Push me too far, and I'll expose all the shady dealings between you and Dina Song." As my words fell, Xiao Li's face changed dramatically, and without daring to say another word, he hurriedly left. Xiao Li's reaction surprised me. I had only warned him because I remembered how he had helped Dina Song against me in my past life, but judging by Xiao Li's demeanor, so flustered and fearful, could it be that there was truly some shady deal between him and Dina Song? I silently grew more vigilant. After breakfast, I went to the office again to see the leader, who told me that a colleague wanted my housing allocation quota. However, the other party doesn't have much money right now and can only offer me 4,000 yuan. I know that housing prices will rise in the future, and 4,000 is indeed too little, but I have no other choice. The house absolutely cannot be given cheaply to Dina Song. I agreed to the other party's request, took 4,000 yuan, and gave up my housing allocation quota to them. Since I'm getting divorced from Qian-shen, it's impossible for me to continue living here. I'll have to quit my job too. Thinking about the developments 30 years later, I secretly started forming a plan in my heart. I need to leave this place, head south to start a business, and become one of the first to get rich. Mentally planning my next steps, I quickly returned home, only to push open the door and find Dina Song sitting in my living room. Upon seeing me, Dina Song flashed a sarcastic smile. "Oh, look who finally decided to come home. The busy bee. What are you here for?" "Just here to check on you. After all, you got beaten black and blue and were bleeding from Qian's hands. As your neighbor, how could I not pay you a visit?" Dina Song circled around me with a cheerful grin. Then, lowering her voice with venom, "Why don't you just drop dead, playing the divorce card as a retreat tactic? Do you even dare? If you really divorce Qian, I'll eat my hat." The sun would rise from the west. "Of course I dare to divorce, on the condition that you return my money. Let me tell you, Dina Song, I have no issue with you and Qian-shen having an affair. You can do whatever you want, but my money must be returned to me. What if I don't return it? If you don't, I'll report your affair with Qian-shen to the military district. Let's see how you two can stay here after that." Dina Song's face darkened. "You wouldn't dare. What am I afraid of? Everyone knows about your shady dealings with Qian-shen these past 2 years. Qian-shen pulled strings to get you transferred here as a secretary, then funneled all our family's money to you. You used my money to buy appliances, clothes, jewelry, and lived the high life. All the neighbors saw it. If the authorities investigate, your dirty little affair with Qian-shen will be exposed. Qian was just helping me. Are you crippled?" dying on your deathbed, I sneered. There are plenty of people around who need help more than you. Why does Qian only help you and no one else? You're a shameless pair. A man and woman alone together, up to no good. The public sees everything clearly. Dina Song was somewhat frightened. What exactly do you want to do? Do you realize this will ruin Qian? I know. And what does that have to do with me? I sneered at Dina Song. I'm only giving you 3 days. Return my money immediately. Or the only thing awaiting you and Qian is complete disgrace. Dina Song left in a sorry state, throwing down a threat as she went, telling me to wait and see. I'm waiting with boiling blood. If we don't provoke her, how would she act in advance? I'm waiting for Dina Song's dirty tricks. Let's see who dies faster this time. The next 2 days passed peacefully, with Qian staying at the military barracks and not returning. I know he's waiting for me to go apologize and make up with him. In his dreams, I don't have time to deal with him. I've been busy handling things. Since I'm parting ways with Qian, I certainly won't let Qian and Dina Song benefit from it. I've sold everything of value that I bought for the house. As for the things that couldn't be sold, I gave them all away. I gave all the new clothes I bought for Qian sweater to the wife of Instructor Zhong at the East End. And she was very grateful, holding my hand to chat. Sister Zhong asked me, "Has your chief not come home these past few days?" I nodded, and Sister Zhong looked at me sympathetically. "Vivi, you're a good person, and good people often get taken advantage of. There are some things I don't want to say, but I just can't bear to see you treated like this. That Dina Song is no good. You need to be careful and watch out for her." "I know, I don't care anymore. Let them do whatever they want. It has nothing to do with me." "But you're pregnant. Even if it's just for the sake of the baby in your belly, you have to think about yourself, and some things, even if you keep compromising and sacrificing, they might still not let you off the hook." Sister Zhong's words hit the nail on the head. In my past life, wasn't it exactly because I kept compromising and sacrificing that I ended up being schemed against by them? I nodded and said, "Sister Zhong, thank you for the reminder. I'll be careful. Even a rabbit bites when cornered, let alone a person. If they push me too far, I won't let them off easy." Seeing that I was listening, Sister Zhong lowered her voice. "You, be careful of that Xiao Li around Chief Shen. His relationship with that Dina Song isn't right." Hearing this, I immediately pressed further. "How could it not be right, Sister Zhong? I won't hide it from you. That Xiao Li is no good. He's been taking advantage of my easygoing nature to help Dina Song bully me." Sister Zhong's expression turned more serious when she heard this. She lowered her voice even further. "That Xiao Li and Dina Song are having an affair. I saw it with my own eyes." Sister Zhong's words made my heart skip a beat. I immediately recalled the look of sheer panic on Xiao Li's face when I threatened to expose his and Dina Song's disgraceful dealings. So, is there really an improper relationship between Xiao Li and Dina Song? But doesn't Dina Song like Qian? Why would she get involved with Xiao Li? I immediately asked sister-in-law Zhong, how could Dina Song take a liking to Xiao Li, a mere security guard? I thought she was always trying to flirt with Qian. I don't know about that, but I'm not lying. When Dina Song first came here, I saw with my own eyes Xiao Li coming out of Dina Song's house in the middle of the night. Not just once, but several times. At the time, I thought the two of them were in a relationship. Until later I found out that Dina Song seemed to have taken a liking to your family's Chief Shen. Aunt Zhong stopped there and didn't say more, but I fell into deep thought. In my past life, Xiao Li had always been protective of Dina Song, constantly helping her twist the truth to bully me. A big reason why Qian didn't believe me was because Xiao Li was helping to stir up trouble. In my past life, I could never understand why Xiao Li would twist the truth. I always thought I had treated him well. But now, hearing what Sister Zhong said, finally, I reached a conclusion. Was Xiao Li also one of Dina Song's admirers, charging into battle for the woman he loved? That would explain why Xiao Li helped Dina Song deal with me the way he did. Sister Zhong's words made me secretly wary, and I paid extra attention to Xiao Li and Dina Song. Little did I know, this scrutiny would lead to something unexpected. Sure enough, I found something suspicious. Xiao Li actually sneaked into Dina Song's house at night. I'm not sure if they're having an affair, but a man and a woman alone together in the dead of night can't be up to any good. Thinking back to the helplessness and misery I felt when they schemed against me in my past life, hatred welled up inside me. I'll make sure this despicable pair gets what they deserve. I took a basin and a stick from the house. I stood guard at Dina Song's doorstep and started banging loudly while shouting, "Thief, catch the thief." In the dead of night, the noise from my banging was so loud that soon all the neighbors woke up and came running to see what was happening. I pointed anxiously at Dina Song's house and said, "I went to the bathroom in the middle of the night and saw someone sneaking into Comrade Song's house. It must be a thief. We can't let this thief escape." No one doubted my words. Especially Sister Jong, who immediately instructed Jong to lead people to block the back windows. The others followed me to guard the front door, making a commotion. After some ruckus, the door finally opened. Dina Song and Xiao Li appeared before everyone. I deliberately raised my voice, "So it's Xiao Li. What are you doing at Comrade Song's house in the middle of the night?" I had something to discuss with Comrade Song," Xiao Li stammered in reply. "Something to discuss? What couldn't be said during the day that had to be talked about at 2 in the morning? Yeah, what's the matter in the middle of the night? Don't tell me you two." Aunt Jong raised her voice, and Dina Song immediately denied it. "There's nothing between us. Xiao Li was just worried about my health and came to check on me." Who would believe that? Nobody bought it. Someone deliberately remarked, "Could it be that Comrade Song and Xiao Li are dating?" There's nothing wrong with dating. No need to be so secretive about it. "No, we're not dating." Dina Song glared at me with venomous eyes, persistently denying any other relationship with Xiao Li. As for Xiao Li, he also refused to admit it, insisting that he was just concerned about the sick Dina Song and came to check on her out of worry. The commotion only subsided when Qian Shen arrived and dispersed the noisy crowd. The onlookers scattered at Qian Shen's command, and I, having lost interest in the spectacle, prepared to leave. Seeing her backer arrive, Dina Song immediately burst into tears. "Qian, Xiao Li, and I are completely innocent. He was just worried about me and came to deliver medicine. Who would have thought Comrade Mu would slander us like this?" As Dina Song cried, Xiao Li also began protesting his innocence. Qian Shen scowled and reprimanded me. "All you do all day is stir up trouble. Why can't you focus on proper work? Don't you know your actions could drive someone to their death?" I sneered. "I just saw someone sneaking around Comrade Song's house late at night and got worried, so I called for help. Is that wrong? Besides, with so many guards around, why is it that no one else sneaks into Comrade Song's house in the dead of night, except for Xiao Li alone?" My words made both Xiao Li and Dina Song change their expressions, while Qian Shen also showed a suspicious look. He's no fool. Otherwise, he wouldn't have risen to such a high position. Seeing Qian Shen glance their way, Dina Song immediately collapsed to the ground, pretending to faint. Then she was rushed to the hospital. I sneered and turned back into the house. I had seen it clearly. Dina Song's gaze at me was filled with extreme malice. Needless to say, she hated me to the core. With my interference exposing her relationship with Xiao Li, Dina Song knew full well that I was aware of their dirty little secret, unwilling to let her affair with Xiao Li become public. Dina Song had no choice but to find a way to cover it up, to eliminate me as her biggest threat. I believe Dina Song will soon make a move, and I'm just afraid she won't act. Luring the enemy into a trap is what makes it fun. This morning, when I got up and went to work, everyone I met along the way was talking about Dina Song and Xiao Li's affair. There are all kinds of opinions. I arrived at work in a cheerful mood and felt great all day. At noon, Qian Shen came to my workplace to see me and immediately started scolding me. Last night's incident has been clarified. It was indeed Xiao Li who went to check on Dina out of concern that she might have an episode. There's nothing between them. I scoffed. What does their relationship have to do with me? Did you really come all this way just to tell me that? Of course that's not why I came. Vivi Mu, have you no shame lately? To target Dina. You actually try to smear her by suggesting she has an improper relationship with Xiao Li. Have you ever considered how much damage that could do to a woman's reputation? I laughed in anger. When did I ever smear them? I just saw someone sneaking into Dina Song's house and thought it was a burglar. If Xiao Li was genuinely just checking on Dina Song out of concern, couldn't he have knocked on the door openly? Why sneak around like a thief? True love indeed. Qian Shen is still defending Dina Song. Xiao Li didn't want to disturb the neighbors, so he didn't call out to open the door. But you, what are you doing staying up all night just to watch Dina Song? I'm warning you, I haven't settled the score with you over what happened last time. Don't go causing more trouble for me. You're ridiculous. I already told you I only shouted because I thought it was a thief. I've explained it clearly enough. Are you just not understanding, or are you deliberately picking a fight? Kian-shin slammed the table in anger. What kind of attitude is that? Dina Song ended up in the hospital because of this commotion you caused, and you still don't see anything wrong with what you did. I did nothing wrong. If there's any mistake, it was marrying you in the first place. Didn't you say you wanted a divorce? Fine, I agree. Let's do it now. Go find someone else to live with. But before the divorce, you have to give me back my money. Kian-shin still thought I was the meek and obedient Vivi Mu who only had eyes for him, daring to glare at me with such arrogance. I wasn't about to indulge him. Want to make a scene? Let's see whose reputation gets tarnished. I raised my voice while starting to wipe away tears. I've worked hard to save money for years to prepare for having a child, yet you gave it all to Dina Song to buy appliances. Last time, you took my salary without a word to buy clothes for Dina Song, and the time before that, you used my paycheck to buy her cosmetics. My voice was so loud it reached its peak, and Kian-shin's face turned ashen as he rushed to cover my mouth. I bit down hard on his hand. He hadn't expected me to bite him, and in pain, he let go and pushed me away. I immediately lay down and started making a huge scene. Didn't Kian-shin say I was a shrew who wouldn't listen to reason? I'm going to show him today what an unreasonable shrew looks like. I lay on the ground, making a scene and recounting all the despicable things Kian-shin had done. Kian-shin couldn't stay any longer. He still had his pride to consider. He left with a face as dark as thunder. My colleagues and superiors at work eavesdropped for half the day and felt extreme sympathy for me. Several married female co-workers came to console me, while subtly probing for details about Kian-shin and Dina Song's affair. In my past life, I cared too much about saving face, swallowing my pride when wronged, believing family scandals shouldn't be aired, and fearing others would look down on me. This time around, since I have no intention of staying with Kian-shin, why should I cover up his shame for him? I spilled everything about Dina Song and Kian-shin without holding back. I knew that soon the news about Dina Song and Kian-shin would spread far and wide. With so much gossip flying around, I wonder if Dina Song will be driven to despair. One evening after work, Kian-shin was unexpectedly at home for once. His hand, which I had bitten, was bandaged as he sat gloomily on the chair in the living room. I walked past him as if I hadn't seen him and went straight back to the bedroom. Kian-shin had never been treated so coldly before. Every time we argued, I would shamelessly go to make up within 2 hours, whether it was my fault or not. I always gave in first. I've been giving him the cold shoulder for several days this time, and today I bit him again without any intention of backing down. Kian-shin sat outside for a while before finally losing his patience. He pushed open the bedroom door and asked, "What's for dinner? Eat whatever you want. Why ask me?" I replied coldly, "What's with your attitude, Vivi Mu? I haven't even settled the score with you for biting me. And now you're giving me this look. Then how are you going to account for injuring me?" I retorted. Kian-shin was left speechless. After a brief silence while looking at the wound on my forehead, he said, "I didn't mean to. I've already apologized to you." I scoffed and turned my head away. He stood at the door for a moment before patiently walking in. "Let me take you out for a meal. What would you like to eat? What's for dinner? If you have money, hurry up and pay back your debt. You owe me quite a sum." I reached out my hand. Kian-shin's forehead veins bulged. He wanted to lose his temper but, for some reason, suppressed the anger in his heart. "Vivi, I know you're angry about me helping Dina Song. I didn't consider your feelings before, and that was my mistake. I promise it won't happen again." I looked at Kian-shin as if seeing a new continent. "What do you mean by that? I've cleared things up with Dina Song. From now on, if she has any issues, she can go to the guards instead of coming to me. She saved me before, and I've helped her find a job and done so much for her. That should be enough. I won't interfere with her matters anymore. Let's just focus on living our lives well." That sounds somewhat reasonable. But who knows if it's genuine? Anyway, I don't believe it. Kian-shin pulled me up. "Let's go out for dinner. I know you need money. From now on, I'll hand over my salary to you." I have no idea what he's really trying to do. I've never seen such a gentle and considerate Kian-shin in both my lifetimes. Kian-shin pulled me out to have dinner. On the way, we ran into Dina Song. Her eyes were red, and she looked pitifully fragile. swaying with every step as if a gust of wind could knock her over. When she saw Kian Shun and me, instead of fussing over Dina's song like before, Kian Shun pretended not to see her and left directly with me, not far out. I heard Dina's Song's cry behind me. She seemed to have fallen. Listening to Dina's Song's cries of pain, I silently counted numbers in my heart. 123. When I finished counting to 3, Kian Shun turned his head. He rushed towards Dina's Song without hesitation. Just like before, I smiled with relief. A leopard can't change its spots. That saying couldn't be more accurate. When I didn't plan to have dinner and went home alone instead, Kian Shun didn't come back until late at night. He tried to push open our bedroom door, but I had locked it from inside. Unable to enter, Kian Shun went to the guest room. In the morning when I got up, Kian Shun was already awake and had bought breakfast. He smiled at me as if nothing had happened. I got the fried dough sticks and soy milk you like. I sat down expressionlessly and began eating breakfast. Kian Shun attempted to explain. Dina's health condition is very poor. She has severe anemia. I put down my chopsticks. Who are you trying to discuss this early in the morning? Kian Shun was shocked by my icy attitude. He moved his lips, and I immediately followed up. Don't talk to me about irrelevant people or things. I'm not interested. It ruins my mood. Kian Shun wanted to lose his temper but forcibly held it back, even attempting to explain to me, Vivi, I can't just ignore her. She saved me. If it weren't for her, I would have died long ago. I owe her my life. I've heard enough of this meaningless talk. Putting down my chopsticks, I said, who you choose to help is your business. I don't care. You don't need to keep mentioning that you owe her your life. If it's really so hard to decide, just marry her. I'm ready to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with you anytime. With those words, I stood up and left. Kian Shun sat there watching my retreating figure. I had no idea what was on his mind. Whatever he was thinking had nothing to do with me. After all, in this life and the last, I'd already been neglected and abandoned by him like this. After work in the evening, Kian Shun came to pick me up at the office. He had bought groceries and personally cooked dinner, only realizing during preparation that many ingredients were missing. The pots, pans, and dishes I bought with my own money are all gone. And only the ones Kian Shun bought himself remain. As if discovering a new continent, he said, Vivi, it seems like a lot of things are missing from our home, right? There were too many things we didn't use, so I gave some away. I see. He didn't quite believe me. Especially since the things I gave away were either brand new or nearly new. How could they be unused? We didn't speak during the meal, apart from the clinking of bowls and chopsticks. I kept my head down the entire time without saying a word. Kian Shun kept looking at me. I could feel his gaze, but I didn't respond. Finally, he couldn't hold back any longer and spoke first. Vivi, why aren't you wearing your wedding ring? I leisurely drank half a bowl of soup before replying. I sold the wedding ring. Why sell it? Kian Shun asked in surprise. Why didn't he know? I replied with a half smile. Because I'm short on money. I have no money on me, and I need to use some. No one is kind enough to give me money willingly, so the only option for me, who's in need of money, is to sell the wedding ring. My words left Kian Shun silent. He knew how much I treasured our wedding rings. After getting married, I had always reminded him to wear his wedding ring, and he has always refused to wear it, using inconvenience as an excuse. All along, it's only been me, foolishly wearing the wedding ring I prepared myself. I pushed the dishes away and stood up to return to my room. After taking just a few steps, Kian Shun's voice came from behind. When I get my salary, I'll buy you a new ring. I scoffed without turning back, and he continued, Dina Song's body is too weak and unsuitable for the military. I've talked to her and plan to send her back to her hometown for work, so she can be closer to her parents and family, making it easier to take care of her. Kian Shun's words made me turn my head. She agreed. Kian Shun nodded. She agreed. Dina Song is a reasonable person. She also felt she was bothering us too much and said she'd find a chance to apologize to you and properly clear things up. Hearing this, I gave an ambiguous smile. Kian Shun continued, Vivi, I truly only feel gratitude toward Dina Song. I've never had romantic feelings for her. If my previous help for her made you misunderstand, I'm very sorry. I apologize. Such things won't happen again in the future. I just looked at Kian Shun with a faint smile, and he seemed a bit irritated by my gaze. Vivi, she has already agreed to leave here. she's busy with work handover these days, but she said she'll make time to explain things to you. I hope you can talk to her calmly. Dina Song actually wants to meet and discuss in detail. That's great news. I've been waiting for this day for so long. I curled my lips into a smile. Great. Tell Dina Song I'm ready to welcome her anytime, anywhere. Dina Song came to see me 3 days later. I couldn't wait to meet her. Dina Song still looked as fragile as ever, but the moment she closed the door and confirmed we were alone, she instantly transformed into a different person. She glared at me viciously. Vivi Moo, you bitch, you must be so proud of yourself for finally managing to drive me away, aren't you? Of course. Watching you slink away like a stray dog with its tail between its legs brings me great joy. As my words fell, Dina Song's face turned ashen. You set me up. Playing hard to get by threatening divorce to force Kian to send me away, you shameless bitch. I underestimated you. What you underestimated about me goes far beyond that. There are many things you don't know. Would you like me to spell them out for you in detail? I smiled at her and said, I know about your affair with Xiao Li. I know you've set your sights on Qian Shun and want to seduce him, and I know you're plotting against me. You must have prepared quite a few tricks for today. Haven't you? How did you know? Dina Song was startled by my bluntness, her arrogance vanishing instantly as she began to stammer. How I know is none of your concern. Now, let me guess what you're planning to do next. You're planning to fake a fall and frame me. Xiao Li is already waiting outside, ready to rush in when you scream and accuse me of hurting you. I smiled as I approached the pale-faced Dina Song. So hurry up and fall. Scream for help. I'm waiting for your performance. Dina Song froze, staring at me in terror. I grabbed her hair and slammed her head hard against the nearby table. Dina Song opened her mouth to scream, but a rag was swiftly and mercilessly shoved into it. I casually picked up the brick I had prepared earlier and struck Dina Song's stomach repeatedly. Didn't she slander me in her past life, claiming I pushed her and caused her to lose her uterus, making her unable to bear children in this life? I'll grant her wish and let her have what she wanted. I struck Dina Song's stomach fiercely, blow after blow, seeing her face contort and change color, seeing blood flow from beneath her. Only when I saw her fall into a genuine coma did I release Dina Song. Then I raised my voice and shouted, "Someone come quickly. There's been an accident." Xiao Li was the first to rush in, and without even looking, he began to scream, "Intentional assault! How could you harm Comrade Song like this? You're utterly vicious." I smiled at Xiao Li and said, "Stop dawdling. Hurry and take her to the hospital. If we're late, she might never wake up. After all, she's hemorrhaging from a miscarriage, and if she loses the baby, her uterus might not be saved." How did you know? Xiao Li was stunned. How I know is none of your concern. Just listen to me and get her to the hospital. Delay could cost her life. You wouldn't want anyone to find out you're the father of the child in her belly, would you? Xiao Li, pale and trembling, picked up the bleeding Dina Song and rushed to the hospital, with me following closely behind. Dina Song's uterus could not be saved. Just like in the previous life, it was removed. Throughout the entire process, Xiao Li waited outside the operating room, his face deathly pale. I crossed my arms and looked at Xiao Li, smiling all the while. After several hours of surgery, Dina Song was wheeled out of the operating room unconscious. I asked Xiao Li with a beaming smile, "Aren't you going to inform your superior? Given Dina Song's current condition, your superior must be beside himself with worry. How about I keep an eye on Dina Song for you while you personally go and notify Qian Shun?" Xiao Li didn't dare to inform Qian Shun. He fell to his knees before me with a thud. I looked at Xiao Li coldly and said, "Now you're scared. Weren't you having a great time with Dina Song? Thought you could frame me and turn the tables? Dream on." Xiao Li kept kowtowing until his forehead was bleeding. I watched this despicable, shameless creature with icy disdain. Only when he was covered in blood did I slowly call for him to stop. "Enough. How do you plan to handle this?" "I'll make Dina leave. I guarantee she'll drop all ideas and never disturb you or the chief again." "Is that so?" I laughed a few times. "No, how can you leave? Dina Song can't go. Please, I beg you." Xiao Li was about to kowtow again, but I waved my hand to stop him. "I have a way to make your wishes come true." When I got home, Qian Shun was still cooking in the kitchen. Over the past 3 days, it was as if he had become a different person, cooking dinner every day, seeing me return. Qian Shun flashed me a smile. Wait 2 minutes. The food will be ready soon. I poured myself a glass of water and sipped it slowly while Qianshun busied himself setting the table. He served me a large bowl of rice. Eat more. Pregnant women have bigger appetites. From now on, you should have 2 bowls. I silently took it and began eating with my head down, while Qianshun eagerly served me dishes. After eating most of the bowl in silence, Qianshun finally spoke up. So, Vivi, has Dina Song come to see you? She has, I nodded. What did you talk about? I didn't say anything. I continued eating. Qianshun didn't get the answer he wanted, so he probed further. Did she mention when she's leaving? You'll have to ask her that. I don't know. As soon as I finished speaking, Qianshun's expression froze. I continued to eat with my head down, knowing that Qianshun must have looked for Dina Song but couldn't find her. Not finding her meant he naturally wouldn't know what Dina Song had told me, which is why he was worried and came to fish for information from me. To be honest, his concern for Dina Song was genuine. What a pity. I sighed inwardly as the sound of a car came from outside. Soon, Xiao Li rushed in. Chief, something's happened. Comrade Song is in trouble. Qianshun sprang to his feet, and I also set down my chopsticks to look at him. Qianshun didn't glance at me. His gaze was fixed on Xiao Li, taking in the injury on his forehead, and his expression turned extremely grim. What happened? Xiao Li didn't dare to look at me, keeping his head bowed as he pretended to wipe away tears. It's very serious. Her uterus was removed, and she's now unconscious in the hospital. Chief, Comrade Song, she's in such a terrible state. Qianshun looked at Xiao Li with disbelief. How is that possible? How could this happen out of the blue? Chief, you should go to the hospital right away. As Xiao Li finished speaking, Qianshun immediately strode out. When he reached the door, I coughed, and hearing my voice, he stopped in his tracks. Vivi, I'm going to the hospital to check on Dina Song. I'll be back soon. I stared at Qianshun and said slowly, word by word, Qianshun, have you thought this through, Vivi? This is not the time to act on impulse. Dina is unconscious after something happened to her. I must go see her and figure out what's going on. Since Qianshun has made his own decision, it's beyond my control. I nodded and stopped trying to hold him back. After Qianshun left, he never came back. I calmly washed up and went to rest. Before going to sleep, I checked my money. Only 5,000 yuan remained. This amount of money is far from enough to start a business down south. The next morning, I was jolted awake from my sleep. When I opened my eyes, Qianshun had already rushed to the bedside. He grabbed my collar and yanked me out of bed. You have such a vicious heart. Vivi Mu, how can you be so cruel and shameless? Why would you do this to Dina Song? She was already ready to leave. Why couldn't you just let her go? Qianshun's grip was so tight that I could barely breathe. I clawed at his hand with all my strength. And only when he felt the pain did he finally let go of me. Vivi Mu, you've utterly disappointed me. How could you commit such a heinous act? You'll be eating prison food soon. I didn't say a word, just stared coldly at Qianshun, waiting for his outburst to subside before speaking. Don't you want to hear my explanation? What's there to explain? You did that terrible thing to her, caused her such harm. As a woman, don't you understand the agony of infertility? I can never forgive you for this. Fine, then don't forgive me, Qianshun. If I've done wrong, just send me to jail. You're incorrigible, absolutely incorrigible. Don't you feel even the slightest bit of guilt or remorse at this moment? How innocent Dina Song is. He kept yelling at me until he was completely exhausted before finally stopping. Vivi Mu, what are you going to do now? What do you plan to do? Leave everything to the police. If you leave it to the police, you're finished. Vivi Mu, this is a crime, and you'll be sentenced. Fine, then sentence me. I'm not afraid anyway. You're utterly incorrigible. Qianshun angrily kicked over the chair. He punched the wall a few more times, and I watched him coldly, waiting for him to speak first. In our past life, he was the one who initiated the divorce with me, and it should be the same this time. Sure enough, after venting his anger for a while, Qianshun calmed down. Vivi, I don't want you to go to jail. Do you understand? I don't want you to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail either. I nodded. You were wrong this time. And you must admit your mistake. Go apologize to Dina Song sincerely. And then, just an apology. I pressed further. Of course not. You hurt Dina Song. This is a serious matter, you can't just do nothing to make up for it. What do I need to do to make it right? You go hide in the countryside for a while. I'll calm Dina Song down. You hide for now, and I'll bring you back once I've settled things with Dina Song. The exact same words as in my past life. He didn't mention divorce at all. Just had me sign an apology letter, then sent me back to the countryside to rest during pregnancy, saying I could return once everything was resolved. I couldn't help but laugh. Fine, I agree. Kian Shin's apology letter arrived quickly for me to sign. I knew it was actually divorce papers, but I signed my name without even reading it. Kian Shin breathed a sigh of relief when he saw me sign. Vivi, pack your things first, I'll take you away. I nodded. I have no money. Can you give me my money back? Kian Shin agreed. I don't know where he got the money from, probably borrowed it. Anyway, that very night he came back with $2,000 for me. I tucked the money into my pocket, keeping it close to my body. On the day of my departure, Xiaoli gave me another $3,000. This was the money that originally belonged to me, which Dina Song had swindled from Kian Shin. Now that it was returned to its rightful owner, I accepted it without any guilt. On the day I left, Kian Shin had originally planned to personally see me off, but something came up at the last minute, and he stood me up again. This was just as well. I had no intention of returning to his hometown to be treated like a beast of burden, since the divorce was already finalized. Getting an abortion became much easier. I went to the hospital to remove the unwanted child in my womb. Then after a month of recovery, I took 10,000 yuan and headed south by bus. The days of struggling alone were bittersweet. Living for myself made me give it my all. I wasn't afraid of hardship or exhaustion. My only focus was making money. After a year of hard work outside, I finally managed to acquire my own shop through my own efforts, while purchasing wholesale goods. I ran into someone I had met before, a distant cousin from Kian Shin's hometown, whom I had only met once. Kian Shin's distant cousin was very surprised to see me. Vivi, what are you doing here? Do you know Kian Shin has been looking for you for a long time? I quietly looked at Kian Shin's distant cousin as she told me that Kian Shin's mother had fallen ill and was paralyzed, needing someone to take care of her. Then I called Kian Shin. And only then did he realize I hadn't returned to his hometown. Kian Shin's distant cousin asked me, "Why did you go south to do business?" I smiled faintly. "Didn't Kian Shin tell you about this? You should ask him for more details. What about your child? You must have had it by now. I remember you were pregnant at the time. And Kian Shin also said you were several months along when you left. The child is dead, gone." Kian Shin's cousin's eyes widened in shock. I was busy attending to customers and didn't continue chatting with her. I never expected Kian Shin to find me. One night after I finished work, he suddenly appeared out of nowhere, carrying bags of stuff in his hands. He called out to me affectionately just like before, "Vivi." I glanced over indifferently as he forced a smile. "I heard you were here, Vivi. Why did you come here without saying a word? I've been searching everywhere for you. Why look for me? Aren't you married? Shouldn't you be spending a blissful eternity with Dina Song? What made you think of me?" Called out directly. Kian Shin's face flushed red. He actually felt ashamed. "Vivi, I didn't mean to deceive you. It's just that Dina Song was in such a terrible state back then, and she insisted it was your doing. I didn't want you to go to jail, for you and the baby. I had no choice but to agree to divorce you and marry her as a last resort. I never intended to marry her. It was just a temporary measure. I just couldn't bear to see you imprisoned or suffering." I couldn't help but laugh. "Kian Shin, do you really think I'd believe you? Do you still take me for the fool I used to be?" Kian Shin's expression shifted repeatedly as he offered his first humble apology. "Vivi, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was truly wrong. Enough. If you came here to apologize, I've heard it. Whether I accept it or not isn't your concern. Now leave." Vivi, I want to see our child. I bought gifts for the baby." This made me burst into laughter, tears streaming down my face. Kian Shin looked at me, bewildered, as I laughed for what felt like an eternity. It was just too ridiculous. Finally, exhausted from laughing, I said, "Kian Shin, where on earth did you get the confidence that I would bear your illegitimate child?" Watching Kian Shin's face turn from red to white was quite amusing. I continued laughing. "You really have some nerve, don't you, divorcing me to marry your beloved Dina Song? Expecting me, completely in the dark, to bear your children. carry on your family line, and take care of your parents for the rest of my life, serving as your eternal old maid. Don't you think you're utterly shameless? I'm not. You are exactly that kind of person. Don't deny it. Otherwise, why would you marry Dina Song? Why were you in such a hurry to send me away? Why did it take you over a year after I left to think of contacting me? If you had even a shred of conscience, you wouldn't have abandoned me when I was pregnant, would you? Let me guess why you came looking for me. Judging by your appearance, things must not be going well for you. After all, Chief Shin usually travels with his guards. Where's your loyal guard, Xiao Li? Qian Shin was speechless. I continued to laugh. You picked up a worn-out shoe that Xiao Li had played with and cherished it like a treasure, and now you're facing the consequences, aren't you? Do you know why you've ended up in this situation? It's because I reported you. When I left a letter for your competitor. It was you. You're the one who reported me. Why? He actually had the nerve to ask me why. Qian Shin, did you think I left in ignorance, fooled by you? Wrong. All of this was my plan. At this point, I have nothing left to hide. I want to see the look on Qian Shin's disgusting face when he learns the truth. I knew Xiao Li and Dina Song were plotting against me. I knew about their affair. I knew Dina Song's act of saving you back then was fake. It was all a scheme by Xiao Li and Dina Song to deceive you, just to secure a good job for her. Who would have thought you'd fall for Dina Song's act? So they changed their plan last minute. Qian Shin's expression darkened. I could tell his heart was being torn apart. I knew you'd fallen for Dina Song. How could someone as vile and filthy as you hold a high position? So, I gave you all a grand gift. Once you found out Dina Song had deceived you and your position was at risk, you lashed out, leaving Dina Song and Xiao Li disabled and costing you your job. I took a deep breath and looked at Qian Shin's pale face. This was all a grand gift I had planned for you long ago. Do you like my present? Qian Shin turned livid with rage at my blunt confession, and I continued with a smile, adding fuel to the fire. You married a discarded shoe that no one else wanted, treating it like a treasure, and then lost your chance for promotion and wealth because of that shoe. Now you dare to dream of coming back to me, thinking I'd bear your children. What makes you think you deserve that? Is it because your face is so big? Qian Shin jumped up in a furious rage, ready to hit me, but I wasn't about to tolerate it. Assault, harassment. While shouting, I gave him a hard kick between the legs. Qian Shin doubled over in pain, and the people around, hearing my cries for help, quickly gathered. I accused Qian Shin of assaulting me, and soon some kind-hearted individuals escorted him to the police station. Once a man of high status, Qian Shin was full of glory. But now, in his downfall, no one indulges him anymore. He was fined, reprimanded, and detained overnight before being let out in disgrace. He lost his job, lost everything, and then his mother at home had an accident. Qian Shin still wanted to use me as his fool, thinking I loved him and could be deceived by his sweet talk. But having lived a second life, how could I possibly jump into the fire pit again? Qian Shin didn't leave. He stayed here the whole time. Seeing that my business was doing well, he even contemplated making me change my mind. But heaven couldn't stand it anymore. On a rainy night, he was hit by a car and lost both his legs. Qian Shin became disabled and had to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. This was his retribution. He had been asking around, trying to get me to see him. I refused. I've already seen his downfall, and I'm satisfied. There's no need to disgust myself again. From now on, I'll walk my path of flowers, and he can live his destitute life. Perfect.